Ignore your reality. Just keep assuming. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and look around you. Notice the world as it is, the people, the circumstances, the limitations that seem to press in from every side. Notice the doubts, the setbacks, the things you've been told are impossible, and perhaps even the failures you've faced. Now I want you to do something radical. I want you to completely ignore it. Yes, ignore your reality. Set aside the proof that seems so tangible, the evidence that says you cannot, that says you are not enough, that says your dreams are out of reach, because the truth is reality. At least the one you see with your eyes is nothing more than a temporary stage, a reflection of your beliefs, not a measure of your potential. What you see now is not what must be, and it certainly does not define who you are or what you are capable of. For too long, most of us have been trained to accept what is as the ultimate authority. This is how things are. We are told, this is your life, accept it. But I am here to tell you something far more powerful. What is does not matter. What matters is what you assume. What matters is the vision you carry in your mind, the reality you insist upon. The feeling of fulfillment you allow yourself to inhabit before the world even confirms it. The moment you begin to assume, truly assume, the life you desire, you step into a realm of limitless possibility. The moment you stop reacting to what is and start imagining what could be, you awaken the force that moves mountains, the force that bends circumstances, and the force that turns dreams into tangible reality. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the world has trained you to look at proof before belief. It has trained you to wait for signs, for validation, for external evidence that your desires are possible. But the law of assumption, the principle that governs true manifestation, works in the opposite way. It tells us that the assumption precedes reality, not the other way around. You do not wait for the world to show you that it is possible. You assume it first, live from that assumption, and watch as the world reshapes itself to reflect the inner conviction you carry. The power has always been within you, but you have been conditioned to ignore it, to look outward instead of inward. So today, I invite you to step beyond the limitations of what you see, what you've been told, and even what you feel. Ignore the doubts, ignore the obstacles, and most importantly, ignore the reality that tries to convince you that your dreams are impossible. Instead, assume as if it is already yours. Live in the end, feel the joy, the abundance, the success, the love, or the breakthrough you desire. Persist in this assumption, even if your senses scream otherwise. For the moment you do, you will begin to see something extraordinary, reality itself bending to meet the unwavering conviction of your mind and heart. Your reality is often the greatest deception you will ever face. It convinces you that your circumstances define you, that the world around you is the measure of what you can achieve, and that your past failures, your present struggles, and the limitations you see are all that there is. But nothing could be further from the truth. Reality is not a dictator, it is a mirror. It simply reflects what you believe, what you assume, and what you feel in the depths of your consciousness. The people, the places, the obstacles, the scarcity, the heartbreak, the missed opportunities, they are not chains, they are signals. They are proof not of impossibility, but of where your focus has been, proof of the story you have been telling yourself. When you stop feeding reality with your attention, when you stop affirming the evidence of your senses as the ultimate truth, you free yourself to step into the realm of creation where imagination becomes the blueprint for existence. The moment you realize this, you begin to understand that your limitations are not real. They are borrowed. They belong to the world's version of you, the version that accepts mediocrity, the version that obeys rules you never agreed to, the version that believes lack is permanent. But your inner self, the self that dares to assume, to believe, and to feel, knows no such boundaries. It is infinite, limitless, and unshakable. Every great life, every extraordinary achievement, every story of success began not in reality but in assumption. It began in the mind of someone who refused to believe that the world's evidence was the final word. They ignored the circumstances, they dismissed the naysayers, they walked in faith before proof arrived, and in doing so, they caused reality itself to bend and bow to their inner vision. You are no different. The same universal law that moved mountains for them moves mountains for you. It is impartial, unrelenting, and exact in its response to what you assume. Nothing in your outer world can stop this process if you are willing to persist in the inner conviction of your desire. When your reality seems small, lackful, or hopeless, it is simply calling for a greater assumption. It is inviting you to rise above what your senses report, to feel the state of fulfillment, success, abundance, or love as if it is already true. The more vivid, the more real your inner world feels, the more urgent. Reality must catch up. You are a creator first, a receiver second. What you see outside is the effect of what you believe inside. You cannot change your circumstances by reacting to them, by worrying about them, or by proving them wrong. These actions only give them more power. The only way to change reality is to change your assumption, to live from the end as though your desire is complete, and to persist in that state despite all evidence to the contrary. Let the world tell you no. Let it show you lack. Let it remind you of failure. These are not indicators of impossibility. They are challenges to the strength of your inner belief. If you remain steadfast in assumption, reality has no choice but to conform. You must detach from the outer world, stop giving it authority, and instead focus entirely on the unseen. Feel it, act it, think it, and live it. Every thought of limitation is a betrayal of your power. Every doubt is a surrender to illusion. Every glance at current circumstances is a distraction from what is already yours. Replace all of it with the feeling of the fulfilled desire, the vision of the victorious self, the certainty of your own capability. In this state, there is no struggle, no effort, no forcing of events. Everything aligns naturally because you are in harmony with the universal law. The obstacles you once feared lose their meaning, the resistance you once struggled against disappears, and what seemed impossible begins to appear as ordinary. Others may continue to react to the outer world, to let reality dictate their lives, but you operate from a higher law, a law that says what is imagined, assumed, and felt as real must manifest in form. You become a magnet, drawing circumstances, people, and opportunities to fulfill the assumption you hold. The very world that once seemed rigid now becomes fluid, bending, accommodating, and reflecting the truth you have embraced internally. This is not magic. It is a law as exact as gravity. Ignore what the eyes see, dismiss what the senses confirm, and persist in what the mind and heart know. This is how you transcend the limits imposed by your current reality. Your reality is not your limit. It is your launching point. The moment you stop reacting to it, the moment you cease to accept it as the measure of what is possible, you awaken the creative force within. Nothing can stop the power of assumption. The moment you assume, you create. The moment you persist in that assumption, reality must follow. Everything outside will eventually align with the world you feel inside. No failure, no lack, no circumstance has power over the one who assumes. You are not a product of your reality. You are the creator of it. Every step you take in your inner world shapes the world you will see. So continue to assume, continue to feel, continue to imagine, and continue to act from the end. Your reality is nothing but a mirror. It will always reflect back what you hold in your mind and heart. You are not limited by it. You are liberated by it if only you dare to assume. Assumption is the hidden engine that drives every achievement, every miracle, every success story that has ever existed. It is the quiet force behind every reality that seems to appear out of nowhere. Invisible power that precedes all manifestation. The world would have you believe that reality shapes your life, that circumstances, evidence, and proof must come first, but in truth, everything you experience begins in the world of assumption. Every invention, every breakthrough, every moment of greatness started as a single thought, a single assumption held firmly in the mind before it became tangible in the outer world. To assume is not merely to think or to hope. It is to inhabit a state of mind so complete, so real, that it feels undeniable, inevitable, and already accomplished. It is to take the life you desire and hold it in your imagination with such conviction that it leaves no room for doubt, hesitation, or contradiction. Every person who has achieved what others called impossible did so because they assumed it first, and in doing so, they triggered the natural law that compels reality to reflect the state of the mind. Assumption is the secret force because it bypasses the outer world entirely. It does not matter what you see with your eyes or hear with your ears. Those are only reflections of prior assumptions, not indicators of what is truly possible. The moment you understand this, you understand that you are not at the mercy of your circumstances. You are not a passive observer of life. You are a conscious creator, a powerful being who can shape experience through the deliberate and persistent act of assuming. To assume is to act from the end, to dwell mentally in the state of having what you desire, to feel it, taste it, see it, hear it, and know it as already true. When you do this consistently, the universe aligns to match your inner conviction. People, situations, events, and opportunities appear to confirm what you have assumed, not by chance but by law. This is the power that the majority ignore. Most people wait for evidence, wait for circumstances to turn in their favor, wait for the world to validate their desires, and in doing so, they deny themselves the very force that would make their desires inevitable. They do not realize that assumption is not dependent on proof, it is proof. The reality you seek is already present in the state you assume. The only task is to persist in that assumption until it becomes visible. The world of the senses will often contradict your inner vision. It may whisper doubts, display obstacles, or show delays, but these are not signs of impossibility. They are invitations to strengthen your assumption, to deepen your inner conviction, to persist with unwavering faith in what you have imagined. Assumption is not passive. It is dynamic, alive, and requires feeling, attention, and unwavering belief. It is the engine that powers manifestation, the force that moves the unseen into the seen, and the bridge that transforms thought into reality. When you assume the reality you desire, you do not merely wish for it, you become it in essence. You live from it mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and in doing so, you create a resonance that cannot be ignored. The universe responds to this resonance, bending circumstances, arranging opportunities, and orchestrating events to fulfill the state you hold within. Nothing in the outer world has the power to stop this process if your assumption is strong and persistent. Every setback, every contradiction, every negative report is only a temporary test of your inner conviction. It is not proof that you are wrong, it is proof that your assumption is about to be strengthened. To master the secret force of assumption is to master life itself. It is to understand that everything you desire is already yours in the invisible world, and the only task is to continue feeling it, living it, and assuming it until it manifests. No one, no circumstance, no law of the physical world can alter the power of a sustained, focused assumption. It is relentless, exact, and impartial. The more vivid, detailed, and emotional your assumption, the faster it manifests. This is why those who master assumption seem to perform miracles. They are not controlled by reality, they control it. They move through the world untouched by apparent limitations because their inner state dictates the outer results. Assumption is the secret because it is hidden from the untrained eye. Most look outward for guidance, for proof, for permission, but the law works inward out. What you hold in your mind and heart determines what appears in your life. To assume consciously is to awaken this force, to harness it with full awareness, and to direct it toward the fulfillment of your deepest desires. It is not imagination alone, it is imagination combined with feeling, belief, and persistence. And when you do this, when you fully grasp that your assumption is the creative force behind all experience, you step into a life where nothing is impossible, where every desire is achievable, and where reality is a reflection of your inner certainty rather than a chain that binds you to circumstance. Assumption is not just a technique. It is the secret of life itself, the law that governs creation, and the key to transforming your dreams into reality with certainty and ease. To live from the end is to enter a state of consciousness where your desires are no longer distant dreams but immediate realities in your imagination. It is to act, think, and feel as though the outcome you seek has already been accomplished. Most people live in reaction to life, waiting for circumstances to change, waiting for proof, waiting for someone or something outside of themselves to confirm that their desires are possible. But living from the end flips this process entirely. It says, I am not defined by what I see now, I am defined by what I assume to be true. You do not wait for conditions to align before you feel fulfilled. Instead, you create the fulfillment within, and the outer world must eventually conform. This is not a distant hope or a passive fantasy. It is a deliberate, consistent, and conscious state of being. When you live from the end, you occupy the feeling of your desire as if it is already realized. You see yourself in the scene you wish to experience, hear the sounds of your success, feel the emotions of joy. accomplishment, abundance, or love. You immerse yourself completely in the reality you want, and this immersion sends a signal to the universal law, a signal so powerful that it cannot be ignored. The world may initially resist, your senses may contradict, and doubt may arise, but these are temporary challenges, not permanent truths. The more vivid and detailed your inner assumption, the faster and more exact the outer manifestation. Living from the end is the antidote to the habit of living in lack and limitation. It is the refusal to be guided by circumstances and the conscious choice to be guided by imagination, by feeling, and by faith. Many people fail because they focus on what is, not what could be. They complain about what is missing, they analyze obstacles, they debate timing, and they become prisoners of their current reality. But to live from the end is to detach from this limited perspective and to step into the world of infinite possibility. It is to embrace the truth that your imagination is the creative power, and your feelings are the compass guiding that power. When you live from the end, you no longer struggle or chase. The struggle comes from trying to make reality conform before you have assumed it internally. But once you occupy the end, once you truly feel the reality of your desire, everything begins to move toward you effortlessly. People, circumstances, and opportunities line up in harmony with the state you maintain. The outer world is not random, it is a mirror reflecting the assumptions you hold in your consciousness. If you feel lack, it reflects lack. If you feel fulfillment, it reflects fulfillment. If you live in the end, you command reality from a higher vantage, and it responds with exactness. This practice requires unwavering faith and consistency. It requires that you not be swayed by appearances, by temporary setbacks, or by the judgments of others. It demands that you immerse yourself in the imagined reality until it dominates your consciousness, until it becomes more real to you than the current world you see. And in this state, life transforms, the impossible becomes ordinary, obstacles dissolve, and what once seemed out of reach comes to meet you naturally. Living from the end is not only about imagining the outcome, but feeling it in every fiber of your being. It is about embracing the joy, gratitude, the certainty, and the confidence that accompany the fulfillment of your desire. Your thoughts, words, and actions then align automatically with this state. You begin to move and speak from the place of already having, not from the place of wanting. This alignment is powerful because it removes resistance. When you act from lack, you struggle, you force, you strain. But when you act from the end, every movement flows naturally toward realization, and the universe conspires to support you. To live from the end also reshapes your identity. You are no longer defined by what hath happened or by the circumstances you face. You are defined by the reality you assume. You become a person who embodies the fulfillment, a person who acts as if your dreams are already real, a person whose inner state dictates the outer result. This is the key to mastery, knowing that your inner reality is sovereign and that the outer world must follow. The longer and more consistently you maintain this state, the more irreversible the manifestation becomes. Doubts fade, obstacles seem insignificant, and the mind of the world can no longer sway you. You are anchored in the truth that what you assume in feeling is already yours, and that reality must align. Living from the end is a discipline, a deliberate choice, and a powerful art. It is the recognition that your imagination is the most potent tool you possess, and that your feelings are the bridge connecting the unseen to the seen. It is a life of certainty, not of speculation, of confidence, not of fear, of creation, not of reaction. When you live from the end, you occupy the throne of your own consciousness, and reality must follow. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, no longer a prisoner of evidence, no longer subject to the limitations of your senses. You are a conscious creator, a deliberate manifester, and a master of assumption. Every moment spent living from the end reinforces your power, accelerates your manifestation, and reshapes your world. The world you desire, the life you dream of, success, love, or abundance you seek, all of it is waiting, and it will appear exactly as you have assumed it when you refuse to be distracted by what is and instead immerse yourself completely in what already is in your imagination. Reality is not the master of your life. It is merely a reflection of what you believe, what you assume, and the feelings you cultivate within. Too often we are trapped by the illusion that the circumstances surrounding us dictate our possibilities, that what we see, hear, or experience is the ultimate truth of our existence. We look at our finances, our relationships, our health, or our achievements, and conclude that these outer conditions define us. But in truth, reality is a mirror, showing back to us the state we occupy internally. If you want a different life, a greater outcome, a higher level of abundance, you do not begin by trying to manipulate the external world. You begin by changing your inner state, your thoughts, your assumptions, your feelings. They are the invisible architects of everything you experience. The outer world is powerless against the inner conviction of your mind. Every circumstance, every person, every event is a reflection of the predominant assumptions you hold, whether consciously or unconsciously. When you understand this, you realize that struggling against your reality is a waste of energy, because reality is not fixed, it is fluid. It responds to the frequency, the energy, and the conviction of your inner state. The law is simple and exact. What you assume in feeling must appear in form. This is why those who master themselves, who master their inner life, achieve results effortlessly, while those who are controlled by appearances, who allow reality to dictate their belief, remain trapped in limitation. Reality does not dictate, it only reflects. If your current circumstances are challenging, if life seems unfair, it is not because the world has rejected you. It is because your assumptions have yet to be aligned with the life you desire. You have accepted, consciously or unconsciously, beliefs that limit you, and the mirror of reality shows you exactly what you think and feel. To change your life, therefore, is not to change the world first, but to change your inner state. Begin to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled. See yourself in the situation you want to experience. Act as if it is already real. Feel the emotions as if it has already occurred. This assumption, maintained with consistency and faith, will ripple through the mirror of reality until the outer world must conform. Those who fail in life often do so because they ignore this fundamental principle. They attempt to battle reality, to negotiate with circumstance, to force events to match their desires before the inner state has been established. This creates struggle, frustration, and delay. But the moment you recognize that reality is a reflection, that the outer world simply mirrors what you hold inside, everything shifts. You no longer wait, no longer chase, no longer beg circumstances for confirmation. You occupy the state you desire, and the world must catch up. This is the essence of mastery, to live in such alignment with your inner assumption that reality has no choice but to reflect it. Every delay, every obstacle, every contradiction you encounter is merely a temporary test of your persistence in assumption. It is not proof of impossibility, but an opportunity to strengthen your inner conviction, to deepen your alignment with the feeling of fulfillment. Reality is pliable, it bends effortlessly to the state it is shown. Those who see limitation everywhere are simply reflecting limitation themselves. Those who see abundance, opportunity, love, and success are reflecting that same state in their lives. Nothing outside of you can impose a limitation that has not first been accepted within. When you understand this, fear loses its grip, doubt loses its power, and frustration is replaced by confidence. You no longer react to circumstances, you act from a place of authority within. The mirror of reality will always reflect what you present to it. If you present lack, fear, or uncertainty, that is what appears. If you present confidence, assurance, and the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, that is what appears. The outer world is a faithful servant of the inner state. To master reality is not to manipulate the world, but to master the art of assumption, to govern your inner life with precision, clarity, and unwavering belief. Every thought of limitation, every moment of surrender to what appears outside, reinforces the old reflection. Every sustained moment in the feeling of fulfillment, every unwavering assumption, reshapes the mirror until it shows back exactly what you desire. This is why living consciously, deliberately, and persistently in the state of your fulfilled desire is not a suggestion. It is a necessity for anyone who wishes to transcend the ordinary. The power lies not in circumstances, but in consciousness you occupy. Your mind and your feelings are the architects, and reality is merely the materialization of the blueprint you create within. When you truly grasp this, you stop giving power to what appears and begin giving power to what you feel and know. The world cannot dictate your life. It can only reflect the assumptions you permit within. You become free, not because the world changes instantly, but because you no longer serve its illusion of authority. You take command from within, and reality bends to the force of your conviction. This understanding transforms your relationship with life entirely. You are no longer a victim, no longer subject to the whims of circumstances. You are a conscious creator, holding the inner state that dictates every appearance in your life. Persist in this, and you will witness the world shifting around you, revealing opportunities, people, and circumstances that align perfectly with the assumptions you have embraced. Reality is not a dictator, it is your mirror. Reflect wisely, persistently, and deliberately, and the life you desire will appear exactly as you have assumed it, without struggle, without forcing, and without compromise. Patience and persistence are the cornerstones of every manifestation, every success, and every transformation in life. Many fail not because they lack ability, vision, or faith, but because they give up too soon. They grow weary in the waiting, and they allow temporary circumstances to shake their inner conviction. The universe responds not to haste, complaint, or panic, but to the sustained energy of those who persist in their assumption, those who remain unwavering in the state of their fulfilled desire regardless of what appears. Patience is not idle waiting. It is a deep, calm, and unwavering trust in the process, an understanding that reality unfolds in perfect timing, and that the unseen always precedes the seen. To persist is to refuse to surrender your inner state to the doubts of the mind, the criticisms of others, or the contradictions of your senses. It is to hold the vision, the feeling, and the assumption of what you desire as already true, moment after moment, day after day, despite evidence to the contrary. Many begin with great enthusiasm, imagining their desire, feeling it, believing it, but when the first obstacle arises or the first sign of delay appears, they falter. They look outward for proof instead of inward for confirmation. They question, they worry, they begin to doubt, and in that moment the force of assumption is weakened. Persistence is the bridge that transforms thought into reality, and patience is the fertile soil in which the seed of your desire grows. Together, they form an unshakable power that moves the invisible into the visible, that compels the universe to align with your inner state. The process is simple in principle, but requires discipline and unwavering faith. You must refuse to be persuaded by appearances, by temporary setbacks, or by the pace at which events unfold. The outer world moves slowly because it is bound by visible laws, but the inner world is instantaneous. Your imagination, your assumption, your feeling of fulfillment operates in the timeless realm where everything already exists. By persisting in this state, by patiently maintaining the inner conviction, you eventually cause the outer world to conform. Those who fail to wait, who give up at the first sign of delay, are like gardeners who dig up a seed before it has had the chance to sprout. They cannot see the invisible growth, they cannot feel the life developing beneath the surface, and they assume nothing is happening. But for the one who persists, who nurtures the assumption, who continues to dwell in the feeling of fulfilled desire, the manifestation appears inevitably. Patience and persistence also teach you resilience. They train the mind and heart to remain unmoved by temporary chaos, by discouraging reports, and by the apparent limitations of reality. They cultivate a faith that is not shaken by time or circumstance. To persist is to act with quiet confidence, to live as though the desired outcome is already yours, and to ignore any contradiction presented by the senses. You do not abandon the state of assumption because the evidence outside seems negative. You do not waver because delays appear. Instead, you reinforce your inner conviction, knowing that timing of manifestation is always perfect, and that what is unseen is far more real than what is visible. Every great achievement in history, every life transformed, every dream realized followed the same pattern. A sustained, unwavering inner state held long before the outer reality confirmed it. The artist persists in creating, the entrepreneur persists in imagining the solution, the leader persists in holding the vision, and the world eventually bends to meet the assumption. In your own life, persistence is not merely about endurance. It is about active faith. It is about maintaining feeling the emotion, the certainty of your fulfilled desire at every moment. It is about refusing to react to contradictions, to setbacks, and to appearances, understanding that these are temporary reflections that cannot hold power over the one who assumes. Patience is the companion of persistence. It allows the mind to remain calm, the heart to remain steady, and the imagination to operate freely. Without patience, persistence can become frantic, anxious, and desperate. With patience, persistence becomes serene, powerful, and irresistible. You are not in a race against time. You are in a dance with the infinite. The law of assumption moves with perfect precision, but it requires your unwavering alignment. Every doubt avoided, every feeling of certainty maintained, every moment spent living from the end reinforces the manifestation and brings it closer to your visible experience. The secret is to maintain your inner state, not to control the outer circumstances. Patience and persistence are the hands that guide the invisible forces, the eyes that keep the vision steady, and the heart that feels fulfillment long before evidence appears. The outer world may try to convince you otherwise, showing delays, challenges, and contradictions, but the one who persists and waits patiently is untouchable. They are guided by the unseen, motivated by the internal reality, and aligned with the law that makes all things possible. The manifestation is inevitable for those who refuse to be shaken, for those who continue to assume, feel, and live in the end. Every moment of patience and every act of persistence strengthens the bridge between the invisible and the visible until what was once imagined becomes a tangible reality. There is no force stronger, no power more precise, and no principle more exact than the combination of patience and persistence when applied to the art of assumption. They are the keys to unlocking the extraordinary life that is always available to you, the secret that transforms dreams into reality, and the law that ensures your desires are fulfilled without fail. To succeed, to manifest, to create miracles in your life, you must embrace patience and persistence as allies, never abandoning the inner state, never succumbing to appearances, and never doubting the inevitable fulfillment of your desire. Persist, endure, assume, and wait with unwavering faith, for this is the path through which every dream, every vision, every desire becomes your reality.